Welcome to the Smiles Are Wild show, brought to you by Pediatric Dental Associates and Orthodontics. We know as parents that taking care of your children's teeth can be overwhelming. That's why every week we will bring you educational content to encourage and empower you. Thanks for joining us. So as promised last week and earlier this week, we've been sharing out that we are going to have a special guest today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on screen, and we're going to start talking about this really fun tooth fairy kit that's called the Adventures of Brushalot. So we're going to have Regan come on camera here. And Regan, just say hello.
Hi, Amy. How are you? Nice to be with you.
Yes, thanks, Regan. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So I came across this really fun tooth fairy kit from another Instagram person who's in the dental world. And I automatically fell in love with it, had to buy it, had to do all the things. So I'm going to show a picture of it real quick. This is the little box in the kit that it comes in, and we'll go through it here in just a minute. But if you could just tell me a little bit about why you've developed this product or how you got into this line of doing this for kids.
Wonderful. So, Amy, thanks again for having me, and hello to everybody who's joining us online. I'm calling from up in Canada, actually, and so the modern wonders of the internet, we can have a conversation between Arkansas and Canada, and so I'm delighted to be with you and your patients and your community. So, Brushalot really starts at family, and we think about this kit in how can we help parents and children and families do two things, because I'm a parent with a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. My 6-year-old son Henry actually turned 7 on Saturday. But between him and his 9-year-old sister, like many parents, we had a point where our kids didn't enjoy brushing their teeth, and children don't understand the benefits of brushing their teeth or why they should brush their teeth. And every night, generally speaking, has been a battle to have them get into those good, positive, healthy dental habits that we as parents know. And so we created Brushlot really to address that friction point for parents with their children and getting them motivated to brush their teeth, because we believe that oral health is foundational for general health, and I think that's a medically accepted fact, regardless of what literature you read. So we wanted to create a story that would motivate children to brush and floss their teeth. And the second thing that we wanted to do, and the reason we created Brushalot, is because we felt the tooth fairy magic was something that needed to come into the 21st century. We know and embrace the tooth fairy all across North America, Canada, the United States, United Kingdom, other places. And the tooth fairy is a fact of life. Unfortunately, if you were to ask your children or mine what they know about the tooth fairy, they don't really know a whole lot. They don't know who her family is, where she lives, what she does with the teeth. And kids ask very pointed questions around who is the tooth fairy? What does she do? What does she do with my teeth? What does she look like? Who are her friends? And so we created the Adventures of Brushalot and wrote this storybook that really addressed those questions that kids ask, those pointed questions, but also addressed that pain point that many parents face each night, which is how to get my children motivated to brush their teeth. And we're delighted with the reviews and feedback from our community. It seems like people are responding well and kids are responding well to the product. But at its core, we made a product for ourselves because we're busy parents with challenges just like every other parent. And there wasn't anything really on the market that I could read to my children, or we could share as a family, that got our kids motivated to brush their teeth, which is why we came up with Brushalot.
Yeah, and I think it's a wonderful story, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But I know that one of the things, we've had a little pre-interview sessions, and we talked a little bit about kind of your mission and your brand values. And there was one that really touched close to me, for me and my family. So can you talk a little bit about the accessibility piece of your brand values?
Sure. And that's a great question. And we've tried to reflect our values in everything that we do, whether it's how we communicate, how we're talking about our product, our website, accessibility there. But at the end of the day, and I'll start with where we were motivated to start Brushalot, which is we wanted to solve that pair of problems that families everywhere face, which is how to get kids to brush their teeth and how to answer those pointed questions that children have about the tooth fairy. But in order to do that, we need to create a world that is accessible for all families, regardless of where you live, whether it's in Canada, the United States, whether it's the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest, the South. And so that is reflected in the storybook through our characters. We have multiracial characters, multigender characters. Our heroes are a biracial knight, Sir Brushalot, who is the Tooth Fairy's brother, and a black girl named General Floss, who is our general, who leads the Knights of Floss to protect the walls of Pearly White City. And I know we'll talk about the story in a little bit, but we've really focused on how do we create a world that's accessible for those demographic groups that I just talked about. The other thing we really leaned in on heavily for the illustrations in particular was making sure that children were able to see all types of abilities as well in the illustration. So you'll see heroes who were, in a wheelchair. You'll see heroes who wear glasses. You'll see heroes who are have hearing aids. And so we think, for children, they believe in equality instinctively. I think every child has that at their core, and we felt it was important for our story to reflect the diversity that is modern society and make it accessible for those children. In terms of, and that's the book, in terms of how we operate as a company, we've made, before we even sold a single book, we were making contributions to local organizations that helped improve accessibility for oral care. So one of the groups that we have worked with in the past is Operation Smile, who provide support for surgeries for children who have cleft lips and palates. We talk about, as a team at Brushlot, how do we, our motto internally, and maybe that'll become our corporate motto, is how do we help children and families smile from the inside out? Well, there's nothing more important for a family who's been impacted with a cleft lip or palate than helping them get that surgery to allow their child to smile. And so we've tried to live our values both in our content, in our products, in our go-to-market, and how we're communicating and how our website is accessible for others, but also in our corporate social responsibility, because we think it's important to give where we live. And we think that the modern consumer expects companies to do more than just sell product.
Yes, I completely agree. And that's another reason why, I contacted you and kind of asked you to come on the live video, is because, we fully believe in all of those things as well. One of our main content pillars is education. So we always want to be educating parents, but also just making sure that we are making everything as accessible as possible, making sure that kids are seeing themselves in all of our marketing content, that we're sharing things from different cultures and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of the reasons that I really reached out, was just that it really touched all those points that we're really trying to hit from our marketing perspective as well. So kudos to you guys for doing that, and also for putting your money where your mouth is as well. We feel really strongly about that as well. So now let's get into the actual story. So if you just want to tell about the story, I will do the best I can to kind of flip through some pages here.
Sure. So what you see on the page right now is the cover. And in the background or in the foreground, you see General Floss, who is the first character. You see Sir Brushalot, who is riding the horse. And you see the horse itself, which is Incisor, and I'll talk a little bit more about Incisor in a bit. And then in the top left-hand corner, you see the Tooth Fairy. So while the Tooth Fairy is mentioned in the story is a little bit about the Tooth Fairy and a lot about oral health and dental care and developing those good habits. In the further background, you see Cavity Castle. That's sort of in the right-hand side there. That's where Prince Plaque and the Tartar troopers live. And 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they attack those beautiful walls of the castle of Pearly White City. And so that's the layout of the book. If you want to turn, you can flip through or pick a page. What I will describe is the story itself. If we think about how kids learn and develop good habits, it's really through play, and so and creative. And so the story really talks about how the Tooth Fairy lives in this place, in this magical kingdom called Brushalot. And if you think about Brushalot as a place, she lives there with her friends and her family. And her family, in this case, is Sir Brushalot. And you see the Tooth Fairy there with that's the tooth making workshop. We see children who are making big teeth. You see in the background there a child playing in the background in a wheelchair. So the story talks about Pearly White City, where Sir Brushalot and General Floss and the Tooth Fairy and the Knights of Floss live with their friends, and they protect the walls 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because the evil Prince Plaque who comes from Cavity Castle, and there's another illustration of the cleaning of the walls, comes on down from Cavity Castle to attack, and it's up to our heroes to protect our teeth. There's Prince Black and the Charter Troopers. My son Henry, he likes the bad guys every once in a while, so he likes Prince Black. So they come down, and it's up to our heroes to clean the walls of Pearly White City. The story also talks about why the Tooth Fairy needs your teeth. It's because she takes those lost teeth to the tooth-making factory, or tooth-making workshop rather, to make big people teeth, which magically appear in children's mouths as they grow older. At the back, so the book is fully illustrated. It's about 35 pages. One of every 2 pages is text, but it's accessible for readers as young as 4 or 5. But what we really spent time on, and I think you're going to pull to it in a second, Amy, is the back of the book. And you'll see these very helpful charts where this book can be personalized for your child, or if you buy 2, your children, where you can keep track of those dental visits, when teeth come in, when teeth come out, but also, as I said earlier, where there's a reference where I talk about kids learning through play, there's activity pages in the back where kids can draw and color, and in this case, draw a picture of their smile. But there's different activity pages and connect the dots and mazes where those reinforced good habits can be seen and found and experienced at the back. Now, one of the things that some of your audience may be wondering is, well, how do I find these activity pages? Well, you can buy the kit, but there's also a section on our website called downloads, where you can go and download different activity pages for your child to use and experience and reinforce those good lessons. The book comes as part of a kit, and I'm not sure, Amy, if you have the stuffed horse, but this is Incisor, and Incisor is Sir Brushalot's trusty sidekick. He's very playful. He likes to have fun. But you'll see that little pocket on the saddle there where there's a tooth on one side and a coin on the other. When that magical moment comes, when your child loses a tooth and the Tooth Fairy comes, Incisor sits at the end of your child's bed, and the book talks about this, where you put your lost tooth right where Amy's fingers are now, and then you close the pocket up, and then you leave that stuffy at the end of your bed, and then the next day the Tooth Fairy will leave coins or money or whatever the Tooth Fairy leaves in your home for your child to experience. One of the things you'll find on the downloads page is a receipt. Sometimes, well, we know a transaction is not official until a receipt is provided. And so we have Brushlot themed receipts for you to use with your family. So when the Tooth Fairy does visit, you can have that official record. One of the things that lots of parents struggle with, and I know this has happened in my case, is every once in a while the Tooth Fairy forgets to show up. Either a child doesn't let mommy or daddy know that the tooth is under her pillow, or sometimes the Tooth Fairy forgets to show up, whether it's a Friday night and maybe a glass of wine or 2. And so what we've done is, and I think you have this in the box there, Amy, is we've created this tooth-shaped nightlight. And it's about the size of a fist, smaller than a soda can, that has actually 2 settings. You press it once, and it's a nightlight you can use all year. It hues a soft white, which you can use in your bedroom. But if you think about Batman and the bat signal, the second time you press that Tooth Fairy light, it hues Brushalot blue, which is that magic signal letting the Tooth Fairy know that a tooth is ready to be picked up. So for the Tooth Fairy, before she goes into bed, to check in on her children, his or her children, that blue light is a reminder that the Tooth Fairy has to arrive. So it's a pain point to solve for parents, and kids candidly have loved that nightlight, and that's some of the best feedback we get as children who like to press the button on that light and use it. The horse, just I want to tell a little story here, Amy. We had a review from a buyer. I don't know who she is. Her name is Maria. She's from Hamilton in Ontario, Canada. She bought this kit for her grandchild. And I guess her grandchild was having some type of gum surgery, and she left a review on our website, which is shopbrushalot.com. And in the review, she said that Incisor was a sense of comfort for her, that she brought Incisor into the surgery room with her, and the oral surgeon who was doing the operation, actually, I guess it removed a tooth, put the lost tooth in Incisor, creating magic for that child who was going through a stressful time, but managed to use and see Brushlot as a source of comfort. And we think that that's the kind of experience that many kids are going to have and families are going to have when they use this product.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I think y'all have literally thought of everything. I did check out the download site. The Tooth Fairy receipts are adorable. There's already like some coloring pages and things there. And just, I think that the story itself is super cute. Like, it's just how they're going to learn about the tooth fairy, and they go through the story. And then my favorite part is that you have to, the cleaner the teeth, the more accepting of the tooth, the tooth fairy is
Yes.
going to be. And so I thought that was really cute. It's a really good way to make them brush their teeth. So, and I think as parents, like, I mean, I'm a mom, and I think we're always trying to find these creative ways to make it, important. And, my kids are a little bit older. I actually have a daughter in college who actually came to the dentist yesterday, and they were like, look, you've got to do better on your flossing. You're not in mom's house anymore. And it's like creating those habits at such a young age will make them continue to do it as they get older, because it just becomes a part of their life and a part of their routine.
If you think about, and I love that point, Amy, if you think about our role as parents or grandparents or aunts or uncles, at the end of the day, it's really about one thing, and that is raising children to be resilient and self-sufficient, so that when they go off to college and they go into the world, they've got the skills and habits that they need to be successful. And maybe at 18 they learn to vote, at 16 they learn to drive, maybe 14 they get their first job, at 10 or 12 maybe they learn how to do laundry. At least that was the case in my house. But if you think back, way back to the start of their life, they learn kind of three fundamental things. One is potty training. That's one of the first things kids learn. Second is how to feed themselves, how to use utensils, and how to manipulate food so that they can nourish themselves. But third, and most importantly, we think, is how to care for their teeth, because we know foundationally brushing their teeth and getting into those good habits early will help them as they go later on in life. It'll reduce dental bills as well. I have a son who I mentioned earlier who had 6 cavities by the time he turned 6. And that was partly because he didn't get into those good healthy habits. So it really is, Brushlot really is a foundational piece for parents and for families to use as they raise little people in the world, so that when they turn 18, they don't have to, your daughter doesn't have to worry about being a floss boss. She's got those habits already, and she can go on her way.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally agree. It's just been one of those things, and talking about dental bills and things like that. One of the things we really strive to do is to educate that it just start taking care of their teeth from the beginning. You're going to eliminate a lot of the stuff, and we realize that having to come to the dentist twice a year, sometimes for some families, can be expensive, especially if they don't have insurance coverage or something like that. But if you continue to come, those visits are actually going to be considerably cheaper than if they actually ended up getting a cavity because they weren't coming to the dentist and you weren't creating the oral habits at home that need to be done. Some kids just have a predisposition that they could be the most avid brusher and the most avid flosser, and they're going to
Of
get small
course.
cavities, and that can happen. But in general, most of the time, if you're establishing those oral habits at home and coinciding that with visiting your dentist twice a year, you're going to be right on top of it, and you're going to be continuing to provide your child with the best oral health care possible. So real quick, and you've mentioned it a little bit earlier, but let's talk about where they can find your website, how they can purchase the kit. Because right now, I think it's only available in a kit, correct?
It's only available in a kit, and we've done that on purpose because we think that for $39.99, which is what we sell it for in the United States, or $42.99 in Canada, we think there's a lot of value there. A book, a well-made stuffed horse, and a nightlight. Lots of children sleep with nightlights. My son still sleeps with a nightlight, so we think that there's a lot of value in the price point. We also think that the kit works together, and that if it was only the book, it probably wouldn't be as impactful as the stuffed horse and the nightlight make it. You can buy the kit right now on our website at shopbrushalot.com, BRUSHALOT, or you can find us on Amazon. We fulfill all the orders ourselves, so whether you go to Amazon.com or to our Brushlot website, we are the people behind the brand, and we fulfill our orders. So we care deeply about our customers and our community. But you can find us on either of those two channels, and we're working on a few more exciting things in the coming months and years ahead. So we think there's a lot of potential for the brand, but we also think there's a lot of good for families and for parents and for children to come from our kit.
Yes, I completely agree. I think so. We actually have 8 kits that we ended up with. And so we are going to be giving all of those away. So if you are following us right now and you happen to be watching, I highly recommend, hint, hint, that you share this video so that all of your family and friends can kind of see about the product, but also it gives you a chance to win one of our kits. Okay. So if you're watching now, go ahead and share. I know that I've seen Laura and Ashley both log on here. They're some of our favorite people. They join a lot of our lives and are really they come in and they talk to us, and I'm on communication with them a lot. So Laura and Ashley, make sure you share. And then also, just for like future reference, I know that your social media, especially your Instagram, has a lot of good, helpful hints on there, things for parents, information there. Tell us a little bit about where else they can find you and how they can find you on Facebook and Instagram.
Sure. So I'll start with social, and I have one other thing I wanted to add. On social, you
Yes.
can find us at Brushalot, Brushalot. We try and provide a mixture of content on our page. Some of it's character creative driven because we want people to see the beautiful artwork that we've had created to support us. Some of it is healthy tips and tricks. In fact, we've had some blog posts recently that talk about inflation and the impact on inflation for the tooth fairy, and how the tooth fairy appears to be giving different amounts of money depending on where you live and what age you are. And so at Brushlot is where you can find us across social: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube. We'll have more YouTube content coming in the next little while. But that's where you can find and engage and talk with us and share what's going on. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is related to the kit, but I don't want to forget it, and that is the unboxing experience. And when the boxes arrive, we tried to create a moment for children so that when Brushalot arrives, you can really start that oral health conversation. And I've got a box here in front of me. I don't know if you can see that, but this is how the box arrives at your house. This here are the characters. This here is the mailing label. But what you see is a magical blue box that arrives when people come, and when the kids see this, they go crazy over it because it looks special, it looks magic. And it just slides out. The box slides out that way, and you can see when it comes out that it really becomes a moment for children and their families, upside down, and their families. And you can see our characters there with the Tooth Fairy and General Floss and Sir Brushlot and Sizer. And this is how it arrives. And so when people get the box at home, this is how, when you open it up, this is what it looks like. And there's a how-to card for families and a little thank you note from us. But this is how it arrives. And that moment for children starts when the box shows up. And that facilitates that conversation that families want to have with their little ones about good oral health habits and good dental habits.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And I was surprised by the box. Like, I was surprised when they showed up in the mail. I was like, oh, those are fun. And I geek out over that kind of stuff though. Like, presentation is everything. So I think y'all have done, like I said, y'all have outdone yourselves with this product. And especially being a pediatric dentist where we really deal with children. I mean, we're a very large practice. We serve a lot of kids here in Northwest Arkansas, and we actually have kids that travel from surrounding states because we're kind of on the corner. So, we're hoping that we're going to get these kits out to some families. I know that if you are interested in purchasing, we will get the information up in the comments here with the site and everything. They also have just you can sign up on their site for all their emails or whatever you need. But again, I want to thank Regan so much. Thank you for joining us. This has been very, very, very fun. And, we're super excited about the product. We hope that, other families, especially here in our area, will take advantage of this.
Thank you for having me, Amy, and to your community and your families and your patients. We'd love to be part of yours. And so please keep us in mind if you need that little extra help in getting your little one to motivated to brush and floss their teeth. Because it works, and that's the magic. It really does the impossible. It does get kids excited about brushing their teeth.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again, Regan. I'm going to take you off the screen and say our goodbye. Okay.
No worries. Thanks, Amy. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Like I said before, we'll have any kind of links or anything up in the comments really soon. If you have any questions, as always, you can comment here on the video. You can direct message us on Facebook or Instagram, or you can just email me directly at amy@smilesarewild.com. We'll see you guys again next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and go visit us on smilesarwild.com.